Right, okay folks, welcome to another computer magazine read through. Now this is the first one I've done of these for a long time, and there's a young gentleman, I didn't actually remember his name, you can thank for this. After I did the first panel talk at Blackpool, he came up to me and he introduced himself, and yeah, we had a wee chat, and he said that he really enjoyed when I do these magazine read through things, and he did ask me if I could do another Zzap 64. So this one is especially for him. Yeah, it's I've not done one of these for a long time, and I do actually quite enjoy doing them. I find it quite kind of relaxing doing these, and the guy did actually say that to me. He quite enjoys watching these because you can just kind of sit back and relax and listen to me talk complete and utter bollocks. So this is Zzap number 12. It came out in April 1986. On the front you've got a guy that looks not unlike Julian Rignall, dancing and doing, I don't know what he's doing, break dancing or something, I have no idea. You've got the Zzap Superstar Challenge, 5 top programmers. Can hardly read that. Battle to see who's the best player in the country, and you've also got an Activision Mega Comp. So anyway, yeah, let's dive in and start reading. Enjoy. Right, okay, kicking things off, we've got a absolutely delightful double spread of adverts from Imagine software. Now this is not the original Imagine, because trust me, the original Imagine label put out probably some of the worst games, if not the worst games ever, on 8-bit machines. That was a company that famously basically bought every single employee a Ferrari, including the cleaners. I think it might have been a slight exaggeration, but anyway, yeah, they were throwing the money away, spending it quicker than it was coming in, and of course they only lasted a couple of years and then they went bankrupt. And then the Imagine title, the name of the game, this was taken over by Ocean Software, and I have to say they put out some fantastic games. It was taken over really to put out arcade conversions, so stuff like Ping Pong, Year Kung Fu, Hyper Sports, Mikey, Comic Bakery. So yeah, lovely. I always loved the artwork in these games. It was Bob Wakelin did all the artwork for all the Imagine games. Absolutely delightful. So Year Kung Fu, that was absolutely one of my favourite Commodore 64 games. I thought it was excellent. Comic Bakery, I don't think that was an arcade game. It was, however, released on the MSX, but I don't think it was released as an actual arcade game. So it's interesting that they picked that, because technically it wasn't an arcade game. They're saying arcade action. I mean, it's an arcade game as far as, you know, it's a pick up and play game, but I don't believe it was ever actually a proper game as such. Mikey, not a fan of the game at all. In fact, I'd go so far as to say is I dislike the game. I could never really manage to play it, but not really one for me at all. It does actually have the same hair that I had back in the 80s, a big bouffant blonde mop. Yeah, that could have been me actually. But yeah, Mikey, not one of my favourites. However, if you happen to own the original Imagine release on the Commodore 64, then you might want to check eBay, and it's possible you could actually retire on the price of that thing. It's one of these stupidly rare games. So yeah, hang on to that, or else sell it, or if you want some safekeeping, give it to me. Ping Pong, I liked the game. I liked it. I've never ever seen an arcade, the actual original arcade. For some reason, I can't actually see this being a particularly popular arcade game. I mean, it's very niche. It's ping pong, or table tennis as we call it in the UK. Hyper Sports, it has got to be one of the finest arcade conversions on the Commodore 64. Probably the best arcade conversion. If anyone can think of a better arcade conversion, then let me know. I've just thought of another idea for a video. So yeah, absolutely classic. And moving on from one set of classics to another, Uridium. Now, I have, I was going to say famously said, like I'm important. I have stated on more than one occasion that I'm not a big fan of Uridium. I mean, it's you know what, I would say technically it's probably the best, most impressive Commodore 64 game on the planet. It's just ridiculous when you think of when it came out and what Andrew Braybrook managed to get out of the Commodore 64. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful game. The thing I don't like about it is it's too difficult. You've got to learn the screens. But you know, from a technical point of view, it was absolutely mind-blowing. And there we go. This is issue number 12, as I mentioned at the start, March 1986. Editor Roger Keane. Gary Penn was the assistant editor. Sean Masterton was the sub-editor. Julian Rignall was the software editor. Gary Liddon and Paul Sumner were software reviewers. Now I think Paul Sumner, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Paul Sumner didn't actually exist, he was made up. The late great Oliver Frey was the art director. Don't know anyone else. Yeah, so Hot Games for April, Zoids, that's debatable. Yep, Zzap, Rap. Anyway, we don't want any spoilers, so let's just kind of move straight on. How to score before you play. There we go. Number 1, go down to W.H. Smith. Number 2, take a look at the wide range of latest software. Wouldn't you sell your granny to be able to go back in time and go to W.H. Smith and look at software? That's something that I really, really miss. I don't think it's possible. I mean, is there anywhere? Well, I suppose your game and all that kind of stuff, sell games for the Switch and what have you. But yeah, I would absolutely kill to be able to go back in time and just go into one of these big shops and just browse the Spectrum, C64, BBC, Amstrad, VIC-20, you name it. Buy any one costing £5 or more and get one of these 6 fact-packed books free. There we go, that's not bad. Did anybody actually get them? Blockbusters, I'll have a pee please, Bob. Right, oh bloody hell, this is taking me back in time. Game Maker. Wow, now I bought this in disc. I wonder how much it was. Disc, 20 quid. Yeah, I love this. Absolutely love this. I'll need to actually load this up again. I never got as far as actually making a game using this, but what I did make was it was a kind of, I suppose you could call it a demo. It's a bizarre demo I made. If I remember rightly, it was a guy getting his head chopped off, and then I remember a dog running about, and apart from that I don't remember much else. So yeah, I was quite a dark person to create something like that. I would love, I'm going to say, if anybody's got my demo, unlikely. It probably went in the bin along with a lot of my discs. But yeah, Game Maker was an excellent tool. This was the thing about Activision. A lot of the Activision programmers, they worked for Atari, and they were putting out some amazing games, and they were making Atari a shitload of money, but they were effectively getting paid a pittance. And I think the programmers wanted to get the credit for the games that they were actually single-handedly writing, and Atari said, no, it's not happening. So yeah, a few of them, including Gary Kitchen and David Crane, decided to leave Atari and start up Activision, and that's why a lot of Activision games, it actually says who made it. So you'll have like David Crane's Decathlon, it says Gary Kitchen's Game Maker. They wanted the the programmers to get the credit for the games, which I think is fair enough. Arcade monopoly. After approximately 5 years, the game software industry seems to have come of age. Whether this is seen as a good thing or a bad thing, this is a matter of opinion. And judging by Zzap rap letters, opinions differ very widely. At the onset, games were usually written by lone programmers in backrooms, amateurishly promoted, and the companies which emerged were undercapitalised and often poorly run by people with little business sense and even less time to devote to things like sales and purchase ledgers. We're not going to go and read all that. If you really want to read that, you can just pause this video right now and read it yourself. Right, games reviewed in this issue. Let's see, Back to the Future, Basil and Bond, 2 diabolical games, Comic Bakery, FA Cup, Field of Fire, don't remember that one, Gemstone Warrior, Jerry Jerem, yeah, remember that, Lloyd of the West, Lord of the Rings, yeah, well, again, we don't have any spoilers. Quest Probe, featuring the Human Torch and the Thing. Yes, Scott Adams. Again, if you were a comic book fan, then I'm assuming you'd probably have been quite excited with something like this, but I was neither a comic book fan nor an adventure fan, so something like this, it didn't really do anything for me at all. One thing you'll notice with these American games, you always got the games, they always came out in disc as well. It was, 15 quid for the disc. Right, Zzap, I was going to say Zzap crap, Zzap rap. Even, how about a poke and eye? Dear Lloyd, would you believe if I told you that I had a poke that gives infinite lives on every game? No, you wouldn't. Well, you're damn right I haven't. Yeah, very funny. Right, get the timing right. Dear Lloyd, thanks very much for the magazine, which is really out of this world, and most newsagents as it sells so well. Rockford is Yarzaz. Yeah, that was a thing that I think Julian Rignall said, and it became quite an irritating thing, Yarzaz. And if thing so much as lays, blah blah blah. Right, this is a very, hang on. I was in Reading shopping and getting dragged into Marks and Spencer's by my mum. There you go, it says it all. When I decided to buy a game, I couldn't find much that I really liked that you had reviewed, but in your preview you said that Quake would probably be good, and quite by chance Boots had that game, so I bought it, but in loading the game instructions, although long, were not really adequate. And to a first time player like myself, blah, 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 boring. Right, here we go, A Biased Empire by Mr... Christ, that's a big one. Mr. Ashley Hines of Edgbaston, Birmingham. Dear Lloyd, I'm sorry it's come to this, but it really is the last straw. What's happened to Newsfield Publications? The simple answer is you're becoming an empire. You're distancing yourself from your readership. Others may disagree, but for me, you're no longer the magazine to buy. I used to own a Spectrum, very good machine at the price. I remember the first days of your success, I bought Crash and found a lively, informative periodical. In those days you were completely honest, reviews were just that. They weren't a load of biased rubbish you were expected to read now. Dear Jules Riggers, since the beginning of Zzap 64, you have earned yourself a reputation of being a smarmy little git. So therefore I offer myself to be your manager. I would... oh yeah, whatever. There we go, Zzap makes all the difference. Dear Lloyd, 1986 was starting to look a bit grim for me, what with various domestic problems that if they were printed here would have you crying all over my thermal paper. Not to mention my usual PMT, which are up to their tricks again after loading Mercenary for the 9th time, just to have my C64 reset itself. I finally gave up. So it was on the 8th of January that I went to bed, suicidally depressed and thinking that Zzap, I can't be bothered reading these bollocks. Right, Heavy on the Magic, I do remember that, my mate had it on the Spectrum. Again, it wasn't something, see this was a thing that you got in a lot of magazines back in the day, you got all these toolkits for copying discs and fast disk copy and Disklook, the ultimate directory and file manipulation utility, which for most people meant not a jot, including myself. Dear Zzap, I am writing to query your test of Firebird's revs. I awaited your review of the simulator, as I normally find your reviews and tests very fair. I have every great issue up till now. Oh, fuck's sake, let's just move on from that. Quasimodo's Ding Dong Daring DOS rattles the rafters in Hunchback 2. No, sorry, Hunchback the Adventure. I was going to say I don't remember playing that, but there you go. A text teaser world where no Modo has leapt before. Go on, take a swing at it. Again, lovely artwork. I don't know what the game was like. Right, we're not going to bother. We're not going to bother reading anymore. Oh, let's read this one. This is from David Degville of Walsall, West Midlands. Dear Zzap, I was enjoying reading through Zzap issue 10 one day until I read the art gallery section. The art is great, but Miss Van Ruben's commentary is pathetic, and that's me being nice. It's a computer magazine, so don't read so much into simple art. When I started reading the section, I thought she was writing like that for a joke, and there were many words I didn't understand, and I'm not thick, so I cut it out. It's a good section without that stupid commentary. Just to create more disorder, I will state that little computer people kits are junk. They are so boring. Enjoy the... oh god. Just, you know what, I can't actually remember it being this immature. Dear Gary Penn, are you related to Sean Penn? If so, can you send me her meaning Madonna, of course, Sean and yours autograph. I'll even forgive you for nearly killing Adam. I presume Adam was a little computer people. There you go, there's a little subtle advert when you've caught the comet. Comet by Firebird. Comet was where my mum and dad bought me my first computer. It was like Rumbelows or Curry's. Yeah, it was a large electronic thing. Right, Doctor Who, Amstrad and Commodore materialising at your dealer now. Right, Time Tunnel. That was US Gold. No, I don't think I've ever played this game. I do remember reading this review. Gary Penn says, if further American arcade adventures are going to make their way across the Atlantic, they will have to be better than this if they're to compete with the quality of British software. However, Time Tunnel isn't so bad, and it did prove an enjoyable romp for a short while, despite the poor graphics and abysmal sound. Although, having said that, I do like the backdrops in mythological Greece. Mr. Gary Liddon says, it would be so easy just to slag Time Tunnel. Graphically it's awful, in the audio department things are much better, but there's something about it that makes you want to keep playing. Weird. One of the nice points about Time Tunnel is the gnome's ability to interact with the background quite freely. The object... Right, I don't know if he likes it or not. Jazz Rignall, Time Tunnel just about sums up this game perfectly. It looks like a Commodore has been sent back several years into the past and brought back to the present with an ancient program loaded into it. Presentation 61%, graphics 44%, sound 23%, hookability 60%, lastability 51%, value for money 43%, and finally overall a whopping 49%. Alternate reality part 1 in a series of 7 epic adventures. 3D scrolling screens, combined joystick and keyboard action, original music by Datasoft. Don't remember playing that at all. Right, now I'm going to disagree with them. Zoids. Excuse me, I think I got a copy of this. And I quite literally gave up after about 2.5 minutes. I've got a friend, Lacozer, you might know him. He attempted to play this game. Now Lacozer has got a lot of patience. Not so much with people, but he's got a lot of patience when it comes to games, in particular games that require a bit of investment. If I remember rightly, even he thought this game was a pile of shite. There is effectively no game. Now, I don't know what Jazz Rignall and Gary Penn saw. I mean, what are they saying? After playing the excellent Amstrad and Spectrum versions of Zoids, I really looked forward to having a bash at the Commodore version. and I wasn't disappointed. It's the best of the lot. Controlling the game is done via an excellent icon and windowing system, which is all accessible through the joystick. The sheer depth of the game is amazing. I'm obviously missing something. A complete Zoids environment with city network infrastructures and renegade battle forces have all been crammed into the 64. Fabulous! The soundtrack is very good indeed and lends an excellent atmosphere. Yeah, I mean, I think, was it Rob Hubbard did the music? There you go. Paul Sumner seemed to enjoy it, and in fact they all seem to enjoy it. Yeah, it got 96%. Interesting. Right, Law of the West. Now, Accolade used to put out some quite kind of, I was going to say epic games, quite big games that you always wanted to get on a disc. And Law of the West was one of these. I'm just looking, I've not looked at the score, as you can see there, I've not actually scrolled down. What I find quite surprising was you could always tell right away if the reviewers enjoyed the game or not. Now he looks quite stern, he's pissed off because he's looking away, and even Jazz Rignall looks kind of fairly unimpressed. There you go, absolutely brilliant was my first reaction to this game. But after playing it a few times, my initial enthusiasm and dampened somewhat. The trouble is there are only 11 screens, and once you've been through them a couple of times, they all become dull and highly predictable. The shooting bits are quite fun, but again, once sus, the player can win every time. The sound and graphics are all quite jolly, but it's not really a game I could recommend, especially the slow cassette version. Yeah, I mean, I remember that screen. Even now, that still does look pretty damned impressive. Really well drawn. Presentation 76, graphics 85, sound 79, hookability 90, lastability 71. I'm surprised it's got as much as that. Value from 1 is 72, overall 78. There we go, CompuMart for your blank discs. Now, for any younger viewers, discs were this thing that games came on, and they looked like the save icon. So yeah, the little save icon in Word, that's what disc looked like, folks. Now this is interesting, it shows you how your mind plays tricks. In fact, see when people talk about do you dream in colour or do you dream in black and white? When I think back to reading a review of Year Kung Fu, I would have absolutely put my money on it that it was a colour review, lots of colour, and yet look at it, it's black and white. And the same with Comic Bakery, both black and white. Now see, this was, you know, Zzap weren't always on the money. I mean, what does Jazz Rignall say? This has all the features of the arcade game, but unfortunately it doesn't play as well as the original. The graphics aren't particularly brilliant and only just capture the atmosphere of its arcade counterpart. In terms of playability, Year Kung Fu suffers sometimes. Oolong seems to have a mind of his own and doesn't perform the move you want him to. It's certainly a difficult and challenging version and becomes a Kung Fu master. What's that? It is certainly a difficult and challenging version, and becoming a Kung Fu master will take some doing. If you like the sound of this game or like the arcade version, then it's worth taking a look. Yeah, you know what, I thought this was great. I thought it was fantastic. Gary Penn says, I expected the C64 version of the superb arcade original to be better than the rest, but it's not. The Amstrad version is superior without a doubt. Admittedly, comparisons shouldn't be made, but Year Kung Fu on the 64 is not a good game to play. Interesting, because I would say I would give it much higher. Much higher. And you know what, in fact, a question I get asked quite a lot in Friday Waffles is, were a game that was everybody hated and it was panned which you actually enjoyed? And I forgot about this game, Comic Bakery. Yeah, I mean it got 35%, but I really enjoyed it. It's quite an addictive little game. Gary Liddon says, despite the very pretty graphics and nice sound, imagine I've been stuck with an awful game all along and there can't be much they could do to change it. Comic Bakery is so dull. The main reason for its yawn appeal is that it's so easy. Well, maybe that's why I enjoyed it. I'm no mega gamester, but progressing up through the screens is not a task I'd place on my top 10 hard things to do list. It's a real shame since the people involved do seem to be talented. To make them produce boring tat like Comic Bakery is really a sin. For a little tiring is the now essential Martin Galway. His work is getting as boring as Hubbard's, not because of the musical content, but just because of the instruments he uses. I find it hard to say anything good about Comic Bakery. Ooh, that's a bit controversial, Mr. Ludden. Phantom of the Asteroid. Yeah, who is it? Mastertronic. Oh, I was going to say, I thought that was Alligator Software. Or was this re-released? I don't know. I think it's got quite good sound. I'm sure it's got, yeah, rip rolling. There you go. He's Gary Liddon's just slated Rob Hubbard, and yeah, it gets 91%. I mean, the I can't remember the sound in this one, but I know it was good. Max Headroom, what I want to know. Max Headroom was a really bizarre game. Yeah, it was a kind of pseudo isometric type game. Never really got it. Durrell Software, Combat Links, Turbo Spree, Critical Mass, Saboteur. When I think of these games, I always think of the Spectrum, especially Saboteur and Critical Mass. I never really think of them as being on the C64. And I think Turbo Spree, excuse me, I think Turbo Spree was actually quite a good game. Combat Links, never played it. Jerry the Jerem. I played this not that long ago in a stream, and I couldn't actually figure out what I was trying to do. Yeah, Gary Liddon said it's quite hard to decide anything really definite in this one. I mean, it's a bit strange. The graphics are strange for a start. Jerry looking very germ-like, plods around. A strange looking background. Strange. The instruction booklet doesn't exactly walk on the normal side of life either. It's a great big wall chart giving more gentle hints than actual instructions. Double strange. What I do know about Jerry the Jerem, it's a bitch to play. Easy it isn't. Getting past the Kank. Was it the Lungaroo? Oh, for God's sake, yeah, just shit. What did they get? 39%. There you go. Back to the Future. Now this is a sin, because Back to the Future is it's got to be one of my top 10 favourite films of all time. It's an absolute fantastic film. The thing is, I've never been a fan of computer games based on films. I can't really think offhand of a game that really translated, or a film that translated well into a game, I should say, sorry. Yeah, never played this. Yeah, I don't even know what type of game it is. There you go, it's 32%. The film is great. More than can be said for the game. Yeah, that could have been so much better. Starship Andromeda by Areola Soft. Don't remember that one at all. Sean Masterton. This game is far too much of a, what was that, mishmash for my taste. Some very clever parts of the game, like the attacking waves, the use of a scanner to magnify areas of the screen, and controlling the astronaut across the outer wall of the station. So I've got hiccups, folks, I do beg your pardon. Overall 52. See, this is the thing, if you scored 60%, you would say, well, that's actually not bad, but generally 60% in a Zzap review meant the game was actually shit. I mean, this gets 52%, so it's, yeah. FA Cup football, never played it. Best football game by a country mile is Football Manager by Addictive Software. You see a series of these little subtle adverts, excuse me, down the, excuse me, excuse me, I do beg your pardon. Hang on, I need to get a wee drink of my coffee. Hang on 2 seconds. dearie me, that was not very pleasant. Yeah, the subtle kind of adverts for this comic game. And there's Rockford, just like, what was it? Just like, I can't even see what that says, kicking thing. Ah, dearie me, the adventures of Basildon Bond. Now, if you're wondering what the hell is Basildon Bond, there was a comedian. Now, I was going to say comedian with a inverted commas. To be fair, he was actually quite funny. There was a guy called Russ Abbott who used to adorn Saturday night TV back in the 80s. And he had his own comedy show, or as they called it, Russ Abbott Madhouse. And one of the characters that he used to play was a character called the Basildon Bond. Now, Basildon Bond is a type of paper. Yeah, it's a type of paper. Now, this was almost a play on the James Bond, but instead of James Bond, it was Basildon Bond. And, yeah, complete pish. There you go. Jazz Signal. Basildon Bond is a pretty boring arcade adventure which doesn't seem to have any relevance to the TV show. The graphics are very basic with blocky sprites wobbling around the screen. The sound isn't much better and the gameplay is about the same standard as the graphics. What results in a substandard game which I couldn't really recommend to anybody apart from a really desperate arcade adventure. Yeah, what did I get? 43%. There we go. Argus Press, 30 games. Oh, you know what? I wonder how much that was. Wow, that, you know what? That's, holy shit! I've never seen this before. 30 games for $9.95. I mean, look at that. You've got Grid Runner. You've got Bozo's Night Out. Is that Poster Pastor? I think. Can't tell what that is. Don't know what that is. Don't know what that is. No idea what that is. Drafts, I think. Don't know. Don't know. Don't know. No idea. Don't know. Super Pipeline. I mean, seriously. Wow. Gyropod, I think it was by Thingmate. There's Jammin'. So these are all. You're basically getting all the task set games for $9.95. That's a fantastic bargain. Right, let's more boring stuff. Word processing, database, home accounts, and mailing list. By Gemini and Psy Centresoft present Office Master. Now, Rock and Wrestle was made by Melbourne House, and some sort of saw this as like the spiritual successor to Way of the Exploding Fist. In my opinion, the finest martial art game, bar none, on the C64. And when they announced they were going to bring out a wrestling game, I was quite excited. I mean, nowadays, wrestling games, you can go into CX and you can pick up a wrestling game for like 5p. But back then, there was really no wrestling games. Well, there was a couple. Was it Super Championship Wrestling by US Gold? I think it was. Yeah, and this came out and I thought, oh, this is going to be fantastic. And I remember thinking how ugly it's got. Some of the ugliest looking sprites. Quite literally. I don't mean they're really bad looking, they're just seriously ugly. Now, I have played it since. When I say since, I mean I've played it in the last couple of years, and it's not as bad as I remember it to be. It's got some really, really irritating music. Boppy background music isn't outstanding, and spot effects are crude. Yeah, let's see what Gary Penn was saying. I wouldn't have thought that wrestling is a sport which could possibly be reproduced effectively or even sufficiently on a home computer. Rock and Wrestle illustrates the point perfectly. If it can't be done, well, the idea is certainly a novel one. It hasn't quite come off, and the end result leaves a lot to be desired. Graphically, Rock and Wrestle is poor. The sprites are crude in both their definition and animation. The tune played throughout the game is the sonic equivalent of the graphics, i.e. awful, and the sound effects are even worse. Rock and Wrestle is quite simply a pure excuse for a sports simulation and little else. Yeah, so I mean they got an overall 53%. Don't remember this one. Non-Terraqueous by Mastertronic, $1.99. This is a thing, the early Mastertronic games were all shit. They really were. Most of them were shit. But then later on they started getting really, really good. I don't even know what it is. Is it some sort of arcade adventure? See, I mean, it looks alright. Looks alright. Although this enormous arcade adventure contains over 1,000 screens, you know it's going to be dull if it's got 1,000 screens. Each of the 3 sections consists of screens which look very much alike. Oh, what do you expect? There's not much action either apart from shooting the nasties, which again isn't very varied, and that becomes dull after a short period of time. Yeah, I got 48%. From one pish poor game to a fantastic game, albeit the Spectrum version. Fairlight, yeah, beautiful looking game. Just don't play it in the C64. It looks great, but it is so slow. You could technically play it now because you're using emulation and you could just ramp the speed up. A Robotech Visit and 10 colours to be won. What is this? Is this some sort of competition? What was it? B. It's questioning time again, folks. The Zzap event, which we asked for your opinions on the magazine, has come round again. The answers you gave us to the questions we asked in our early Zaptioneer. Right, there we go. Section 1. Since me, how many of the last 10 issues have you bought? On average, how many other people read your copy of Zzap? A super prying what? At the editor's command, John Minson exchanges his Hawaiian floral shirts for goggles, flying helmet and jacket, and attends a premiere of the new film Biggles. Yeah, I've got absolutely no interest in a film like that. I think the game was actually not bad. Yeah, well, it wasn't shit. That Brian Robson. Now, see, I don't do football, but I do remember players from the 1980s. I don't know why. I'm sure that's Brian Robson, and that's Man United. Yeah, it is. Right, Game Killer. In his eternal quest to be the best high scorer in history, Gary Lerner is pleased to discover a new widget from Robotech designed specifically for people whose only entry in the scoreboard annals is with Blade Runner. Right, is this some sort of cartridge? Game Killer will be available from Robotech software. Okay. Oh, right, here we go. Right, I'm going to try and guess who these guys are. There's Archie McLean, Chris Simon Butler, Andrew Braybrook, Mr. Jeff Minter, and Tony Crowther. I was tucked comfortably in my hyper vibrosensory message. What's zipping in? Right, I'm not into all that bollocks. Archer McLean, there we go. He chose, let's have a quick squint through this. Right, so I'm presuming they're all going to have to guess, pick a film. Look, not a film, pick a game. Look how young Simon Butler was. I mean, seriously. Right, Archer McLean naturally chose Drop Zone for his challenge. Tony Crowther opted for Black Thunder. Chris Butler for his game Z. Andrew Braybrook went for Paradroid. Jeff Minter, removing his noxious animal covering, announced that the others would play Mama Llama. Whoa, that is brutal. That is absolutely brutal. And then they finished off with Encounter. Right, I'm going to guess, I'm going to put my neck out and say that Jeff Minter's going to win, because I know that he is a big player. This is the thing, back then these guys were they were looked upon as, they were absolutely famous. They were famous to people like ourselves. Yeah, Mama Llama, I mean seriously, that was just a brutal game. Right, let's just cut straight to see. I said Jeff Minter, and I'm correct. There we go. Archer McLean, he scored a lowly 13 points. Chris Butler was second last with 14. Tony Crowther with 16. Andrew Braybrook 21, and Jeff Minter with 22. See, I guessed right. There you go. Right, this the score lord speaketh. I'm always interested to see if I can find anyone that I remember, that I knew, or that I know now. I'm not seeing any. Robbie Graham from Blairgowrie in Scotland. No, I'm not seeing anyone that I know at all. Julian Rignall, obviously the Jeff Minter, yep, he scored 270,000 on Z. Z's actually a really good game. Paradroid John Doyle from Kilmarnock, Ayrshire, scored 113,000. Wow. Right, the 7th official Commodore computer show, the Champagne Suite and Exhibition Centre, Novotel, Hammersmith, London. See the Amiga in action, wow. Electra Glide the game, I always remember seeing a review of this on the Atari 800. It looks nice. I always thought it wasn't really a game. Is it a driving game? Is it a racing game? Or I don't know, because I don't think, and I might be talking nonsense, I don't think you actually race against anybody. It does look impressive, but yeah, a bit weird. Right, Zzap Reader's Top 30 for April 1986. Paradroid in first place, Winter Games, Summer Games, Little Computer People, Way of Exploding Fish, yep. Pit Stop 2, Classic Monty in the Run, yep. Good. Bounder, debatable. Mercenary, Commando, yep. Elite Rambo, debatable. Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Sky Fox, debatable. Fight Night, Who Dares Wins 2, Robin of the Wood, Eidolon, Drop Zone, Thing in the Spring, debatable. Ball Blazer, absolutely debatable. Kickstart, Scarabeus, Corona's Rift, Cracker, Nodes of Red, no says, yeah. Frank Bruno's Boxing. Not too sure about that. Right, see your dreams take shape. Electric Dreams could make your games a reality. Oh, look at all these disk drives, eh? Oh, look at that. What would you take, or what would you give to own one of these now? I bet these go for absolutely stupid money. Asylum. Oh, I don't remember that. I do vaguely remember it's funny how when you see something like that, I do vaguely remember seeing that advert. Don't know the game at all. It's an American thing. Arcade, what do you call it? Adventure type game. Zzap Tips. Young Ones, Arcade. I never really for somebody that's not particularly good at games, I never really cheated at games either, though. I never really saw the point of that. I was always very impressed when people went to the bother of like drawing maps like that. I mean, look at that. That took a lot of getting. That's a lot of hard work. Really nice. Great game again. Yeah, there's all different top tips. Black Thunder, One Man and His Droid. That's quite an irritating game. Never really got it. Whirly Nerd. I remember that one. Wizardry. Kind of pseudo isometric 3D. Daredevil Dennis. Don't remember that much. Spy Hunter. Great game. Scarabeus is a very, very underrated game. Commodore in Manchester, now in stock. One of the biggest range of software in and around Manchester. Hundreds of titles. Joysticks, speed synthesizers, mouse, sketchpad, Commodore 128, disk drives and lots more. There we go. 51 Fennell Street, Manchester. The 1985 Zzap Reader Awards. There we go. Oh, right. Best game overall, Elite. Yeah. I'm not going to debate that one. Best arcade adventure, Entombed. Yeah, that did get good reviews. I always thought that the Ultimate games on the C64 were a bit too blocky for my liking. Best text-only adventure, Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy. I did play that briefly. Best graphical adventure, don't know. Best shoot 'em up, Drop Zone, yeah, 100%. Best flight simulation, Ace. Now, Cascade are well known for, you've all heard of the Cascade 50. It was a tape that you got 50 games with, and you got a watch, a calculator watch, and every game was basically, excuse me, shit. I just burped here at the wrong, or hiccuped at the wrong moment. Excuse me. But yeah, Cascade only went and produced this really good flight simulator called Ace, and there was one called Ace 2 which was even better. Summer Games 2, absolutely, yeah, I mean, it's a masterpiece. Best sound effects, Exploding Fist, you'll not get any arguments from me on that one. Best war game, yeah, Theatre Europe. I really need to do a nuclear war special, I think, because we're on the brink of a nuclear war in real life. I'm only kidding, folks. I don't think it's going to come to that. I don't want to scare anybody. There's lots of talk in the headlines about Putin, etc, etc, but I really don't think it's going to come to that. But I think it would be quite timelessly to actually put out a nuclear war special. State of the Art Award, Little Computer People, yeah. Best music, Monty on the Run, 100%. Even now, I still reckon that that's the best Sid tune. Best graphics, Winter Games. See, I would go for Summer Games 2 myself, but anyway, that's just my opinion. Preview, mind blowing. The Zzap team have a phone call from 2 unknown budding programmers who pressed hard enough to get this preview. Oh, I remember this. I actually remember. I remember seeing this. Now, was this a complete? Was this some sort of like vaporware? I remember seeing the graphics to this. Yeah, Titan ground targets, an example of a filled-in 3D effect achieved in Mindsmear. Sadly, black and white stills do them little credit. I remember seeing this thinking, wow, that looks phenomenal. Mindsmear. Right, I'm going to have to try and look into this. I'm not going to go and read this just now, but I remember seeing these pictures and thinking, wow, is this a sign of things to come? I mean, there's absolutely no way. That's just a static drawing. There is no way that that is animated. That's 2 separate pictures. Right, I need to what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create a little text document which I'm going to save. Just bear with me. Oops, a daisy. You get over there. Mindsmear. And right, just a wee add memoir to myself. Right, you can go over there and behave yourself. Yeah, if you want to look like a total twat, you can do so by owning one of these complete Zapper baseball caps. Right, now this game, never actually played it, but the graphics for these games, what were they called? Yeah, Accolade. Absolutely amazing looking. Really, I mean, look at the graphics. Stunning. And you've got a couple of SSL or SSI, I think it is. They did some, I'm going to say some amazing sort of war, strategy war games. I don't know if they're amazing or not, because I never really played them, but yeah, they did. That was their kind of forte. Win a Seiko RC watch. What is this? They've produced the first watch terminal, the RC1000. It's a digital watch with a difference. It can do much more than, what does it tell you the time of day? Forget those simple beeping digital watches that include chronographs. This amazing cross between a watch and a database. A database on your phone. Bloody hell. Yeah. Bubble Bus Wizard's Lair, straightforward one. This an outright winner for drawing the best map in the world. What is it? who gets the mini portable telly is Stephen Medcraft from Raleigh in Essex. Well done, Stephen. Right, there's another. Yeah, see, this is the thing I always found with computer magazines. The first half was where I was interested, and then you got into the arcade, not the arcade, you got into the text adventures, and it just got boring. Yeah, I mean, some really nice. Again, I remember all these kind of screenshots, thinking they looked nice, but I had no interest. There's an advert for Law of the West. Astounding interactive adventure puts you right in the middle of turbulent Old West action as a sheriff of Gold Gulch. As tough a Wild West town as there ever was, you'll have all you can to survive till sundown. There's Zzap Adventure. Never ever read these. I had no interest in them. I'm not going to read them now because I'm simply not interested in adventure games. I keep saying that it's amazing just how black and white these magazines were. When I think back, I always think to myself there was lots of colour, but there was very, very little colour. I mean, the only colour you really got was on adverts. We look at that. Excuse me, very recent. The case of the Mandarin murder. I mean, 20 quid. That was a lot of money for a text adventure. Lord of the Rings. Yep, now we're talking. Eveshan Micros. This changed my life. The freeze frame. Yeah, 40 quid. It basically allowed you to load a game and then save it to disk. Now I used to buy tons of games, and then I would just save them, and you could actually have up to 4 games, I think, on one disc. Fantastic. There you go. The Quick Shot 2. It's only £7.99. Digital sound sampling now for your Commodore 64 complete package. $4.99. Sorry, $49.99. Post-free, free audio TV lead, folks. Disc Dissector version 4.0. Yeah, more adventure nonsense. Eureka! Andrew Froggatt of White Swan Road, Roskill, Auckland, New Zealand, no less. Time Tunnel. Yeah, what's this one? Was it with some help from others? Gary Penn discovers that with Datel's new add-ons, the art of noise lies less with the singer than with the song. Oh, excuse me. Jack Charlton, Mike Mahoney, and Gary Penn. What is that? Oh, match fishing. Match fishing is one of the most bizarre games ever. I think you could play something like 8 people, and you're all crowded around a keyboard, and you're waiting for a fish to move, and then you press the key, so you actually spend most of the time doing absolutely nothing. That's funny. Ye Harry next month sees a full review of System 3 International Karate. After much delay, it's finally made its way to Zzap offices, and very impressive it looks too. Archie McLean did the graphics, and the music is by Rob Hubbard. Both are superb, but as for the quality of game itself, well, you'll have to wait until the next issue for full critical appraisal. Video Vault International. Commodore 64 repaired for only £35, including post and packing, parts, insurance, no hidden extras. That's Z, I think it is. Yeah. There you go. You could get your back numbers if you're collecting all your magazines out of stock 1 and 2. So even 40 years ago, you couldn't get issue 1 and 2 because they're out of stock. How much were they? There we go, £1.20, which included post and packing. That's not bad. There we go, Zzap Back. This is where they take a look at games I've previously reviewed. Everyone's a Wally. Julian Rignall, sorry, Gary Penn. Unlike Julian, I thought that Everyone's a Wally was a great game and deserved the ratings. It's the best of the Wally trilogy, and I thoroughly enjoyed playing it at the time. International Basketball, that is a cracking game, by the way. Really, really good. Load Runner. I thought Load Runner was brilliant at the time, and in fact still regarded as a decent game. It's great fun to play and is one of the best platform derivatives ever. Unfortunately, it didn't sell at all. Never did know why. That's a shame. World Series Baseball. Yeah, it was all right. It was all Super Pipeline 2. Let's see what they say about that. I mean, that is going to be one of the best games ever. It was great fun, although like most arcade games, it only has a short-term appeal. A very jolly game, and the cartoon bits are really funny. Gary Penn, I thought the original Super Pipeline was good, but Task Set improved upon it immensely, and this follow-up was much better. Fun to play, although it did prove monotonous with little variety. Well, I still think it's a great game. How scary is that picture there? Hang on, where's the mouse gone? That big mushroom cloud, the big nuclear explosion, that is terrifying. Cold Grim Nuclear War. Nuclear Reality was the sobering opening line to the gold medal review of its classic war game. On reflection, this shouldn't really have been awarded a gold medal. While it proved very atmospheric and addictive initially, the novelty soon wore off, and I think the ratings are probably influenced by our own short-lived enthusiasm. Definitely overrated, although not by much. Julian Rignall said, I distinctly remember playing this for the first time and getting all hot under the collar when it went into chemical and nuclear strike mode. Although not a particularly brilliant war game in itself, all the various animated screens and the way it's put together adds up to a classic programme. On-court tennis, I wasn't a fan of that. Life After Death, don't remember that one. Shadow Spiel. Yeah, there was always bits of the magazine I wasn't really a fan of. I've no idea what was going on here. What's this saying? Task Set Tribute. The past month or so has seen the sad departure of Northern Software House Task Set. Oh, really? That's a shame. God, there's Ollie Frey. Look at him. Look how young he looks. Yep, they made Super Pipeline, Jamming, Pipeline 1 and 2, Jamming, CAD-CAM Warrior, and more recently Rupert and Ice Palace. Oh, really? And the Flintstones for Quicksilver. When the news reached the news of those present at the Newsfield party, there was not a dry eye in the house. Pictured above is the angst-ridden mask of Arch Supremo Oliver Frey, intently clutching his Task Set memorial mug. The Shadow salutes you, Mr. Frey, for such a touching tribute. CompuNet. Yeah, CompuNet was basically the internet of 1986, and you could download demos and what have you. Yeah, I mean, look at that. That's nice. That's quite a nice picture. There's Sting. Yeah, another one. Quite simplistic, that one, but that's quite. There's something nice about basic drawings. Not a good game amongst them. Transformers, that's not a good game. Knight Rider, did that even come out? I can't remember. Rambo, wasn't a fan of it. Daley Thompson's Super Test, yeah. A collection of war games, strategy, right, we're not going to read that. Questron by SSI, yep, that was the company we were talking about earlier on. Norway 1985, I mean, there's nothing that makes me want to play a game like that. The only game that I actually did quite like, arcade game or adventure game, was Ultima. I did quite enjoy that. It kind of played more like Gauntlet than an actual adventure game. There we go. If you want a year's worth of fun and games, worth of games, info and fun, for £14.50 you'll get an entire year of Zzap. First choice, Express Spectrum, BBC and Commodore 64 repairs, or Commodore repairs. 2 games worth £10 with every repair. Notice it doesn't actually tell you what games you're getting. Or does it? No, I can't see it. They're probably absolute shit. Now, actually, that is a game and a half. Master of Magic. That's a great game. I mean, is it an adventure game? I suppose it is, but it's great. And a massive part of that is because of the absolutely stonking Rob Hubbard soundtrack. That's great. The Force, an icon-driven multi-screen strategic simulation of what it's like to take on the most difficult task of all. Well, that's debatable, but anyway, some dodgy-looking artwork there. Zzap 64 brings the world of Commodore 64 software right to your fingertips. There you go, you can hand that into your newsagent and they'll send you Zzap. They sold 1 million Bruce Lee classic game Match Day. Don't remember that in the C64. What was that? Entombed, I think. Night Lore and Match Point. I don't know how many you got in each one. And then the Terminal Man, I think that was, I'm sure that was Oliver Frey did that. Again, I wasn't into comics, so I mean, look at the work that actually went into this. Really, really good drawings, but not something that I was really interested in. And to finish off, there's an absolute stonking Bob Wakelin. In fact, I'm saying that, was that Bob Wakelin that did that one? I'm not sure if it was him that did that one. He did do the Green Beret. And I'm thinking of Operation Wolf. And finally, there's Psy Trading Company. Again, I think Lacosa did play that, and I think he quite liked it. And I'm sure I did start playing it for a video that I did with him a while back. Again, it's another nice looking game, quite expensive. I'm sure it was about 15 quid on disc. So anyway, listen folks, that's bloody hell, that's an hour. That's another Commodore or computer and video game look at in the can. If there's a particular issue or a magazine you want to hear me talk over whilst I read, then please put your comments down below and I'll see what I can do. I hope you enjoyed watching it, guys, and until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching.